How do you know if you are really working on financial goals or just being flat out cheap? Today, I'm sharing 4 things to look out for so you know if you're being too cheap while working on your goals. Hey guys, I'm Marissa and welcome back to my channel. Here on my channel, we talk about life and money and how you can enjoy life while still accomplishing financial goals through the use of a budget. So if that sounds like something interesting to you, scroll down and hit that subscribe button so you won't miss any new videos. Now, I want to start out this video by saying that this is a video for people who are aggressively attacking financial goals and have the financial resources to do so. I know that there are many people out there right now who are just trying to get by, and if that is you, this video is not for you. I see you, and I hope that this season will end soon so that you can work on those financial goals without feeling so restricted in your finances. So just know that this is maybe not the video for you, but in this video, I am going to be speaking to those who have the financial resources and instead are just being cheap, because I've definitely been there myself. The first sign that you may be too cheap is that your physical health suffers. And this is something that I experienced as well during a season where my husband and I were being super cheap. Maybe this looks like not seeing doctors when you know you should, or maybe not even heating your home, or even just like living in moldy conditions. And I will say that we did pretty much all of those things during our first year of marriage. And I will say that we didn't have a ton of extra money during that time because we were newlyweds. We had just started our first careers out of college. We weren't making a whole lot, but we were trying to be really aggressive at paying off debt in that season. We were working on paying off over $87,000 of student loans, and we made a lot of sacrifices to be able to pay off that debt. But with some of those sacrifices, we definitely were being cheap. And going back, I wish we would have spent just a little bit more to be able to enjoy our lives just a tiny bit more and not put ourselves in the situation that we did. So our first apartment that we lived in was not a super great quality apartment. It had actually a mold issue. And I remember during that first year that we lived in that apartment, I was having really bad like asthma problems and like breathing issues. And I then discovered that it was because of this mold that was growing in our apartment. And so this was something that I wish we would have just spent maybe a couple $100 extra a month to live in a better apartment so that we could have avoided that season and avoided that strain on our physical health. And the point about not seeing doctors when you should. We definitely did this as well, not in like an emergency situation, but something that we were just like putting off because we didn't want to spend the money on the doctor's visit. Like even though we had insurance, we didn't want to do the copay or reach the deductible, like those kinds of things. And I definitely regret not taking care of my body earlier on, even with other things like the food that you consume. And I will say that this is something that we've honestly been pretty cheap on in the last few years. Like even once we were debt free, we were trying to be really cheap with food. And there are some ways that you can eat healthier at a lesser cost, but to be quite honest, eating healthier does typically cost more. And now that we are getting into our like late 20s and my husband's now 30, we are really realizing that it is important of the kinds of things that you're putting into your body and the food that you're consuming. And so we have increased our grocery budget a little bit more to enable us to do those kinds of things. So we haven't been as cheap as we could be with our groceries because we are trying to take better care of our physical health. The next sign that you're being too cheap is that your relationships suffer. This could be between you and your spouse. Money fights are one of the leading causes of divorce and can cause a lot of divide and frustration in a household. And so if one spouse thinks that you should be spending a whole lot less on something, being really cheap, and the other one doesn't think that can cause a lot of divide with your marriage, and definitely an important thing to talk about in your relationship. And there are other relationships out there where this might suffer as well, like other kinds of friendships. Now, I remember definitely in my stage of early 20s, like when I just graduated college and we were working on paying off our student loans, and I had other friends who were just enjoying this fun season of actually having a job and like making money. And yeah, they had debt too, but they weren't as aggressive as I was. And so they'd want to go out to eat like multiple times a week. And there were many times where I had to say no to that. And that can also definitely cause a strain on a relationship if you're not fully transparent with your friends about that. And I tried to be really transparent with my friends in that regard and say like, hey, I know you want to go out. That sounds like a lot of fun. And I'm really grateful that you invited me, but we are working on this goal and I can't go out, every single week. Like, what if we did every other week? And then, we were able to make that work. And so I just tried to set those boundaries with my spending, but also engage in the friendships that I had and let them know where I was with those boundaries so that wouldn't impact our friendship. I think right here, communication is key, and sharing with your friends what your goals are and what you can and can't do and your limits there are just really important. The third way to know if you're being too cheap is that your mental health suffers. And I definitely experienced this as well during our first year and a half of marriage as we were being really aggressive in paying off our loans. I definitely felt some anxiety and honestly even some depression in the fact of felt like we couldn't do anything. We didn't have any options to go do anything else because if we weren't at work, we were at home watching Netflix. That was our full enjoyment. And it was just hard in that season to not have anything fun to look forward to. And this is where I think that even just planning out small fun things along the way is really important. And it doesn't need to be a huge thing. It doesn't need to be a quarterly vacation where you're flying somewhere, but even just small things to look forward to and small things to be able to enjoy your life along the way are really important. And once I began to do that, my mental health definitely felt a lot better. I felt like this cloud was lifted and that I had more freedom and opportunity to enjoy life a bit more. So that's another thing to definitely look out for. And the fourth way to know that you may be too cheap is that you're only looking forward to the future and you're not living for today. If you're only thinking about what's next or have this mentality of, well, I'll enjoy life when I am debt-free, have an emergency fund, am investing, or I'm retired, XYZ, whatever that goal is, then this is definitely a sign that you may be too cheap. The truth is that it's really great to look forward to those things and set those goals, but you also need to be living for today. You don't know what tomorrow may bring, and that's why it's so important to find the balance between preparing for the financial future, preparing with your financial goals, but also enjoying the here and now with your friends, your family, the activities that you enjoy, and living your life. It makes me so sad when I hear about people who are only just looking forward to their retirement years, and people will work a job that they hate for 40 years because they're only looking forward to retirement. And that makes me so sad to think that people are just wasting away 40 years of their life to get to what they think will be this wonderful time of retirement. And so instead, I want to have a job that I enjoy, that I can make money from, and be able to enjoy the day to day rather than just looking forward to this thing that's years and years down the road. So all that to be said, this is why it is so important to find balance between your financial goals and enjoying life. And this is definitely something that we've learned over the years as time has gone on. And through this all, I've learned that you really can do both. For my family, we love to be able to take an annual vacation. Last year we went to Hawaii and it was a wonderful time, but we also were working on maxing out our Roth IRAs and investing in our 401k and also taking care of a house. We own a house and there's house maintenance related to that. And this is why I love budgeting, because you are able to incorporate both of these things into your budget. You can plan for the things that you enjoy, the things that you want to do, like that vacation, eating out, entertainment, those kinds of fun things, while also planning for your financial goals and these other things that you want to work on. So if you want to learn more about budgeting and how to find balance in that, definitely subscribe to my channel and you can stay tuned for all upcoming budgeting related videos that I have. So thanks so much for hanging out and watching this video. Let me know in the comments if you've ever been cheap and what is the cheapest thing you've done. And I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.
About to leave.